Supernatural Season 12, Episode 9, First Blood. This was actually a very interesting mid-season premiere. We've been waiting for what's going to happen with the brothers for quite a while now. They get taken in, not just arrested by like the police or even the FBI really. This is like the super secret top of the government. And they're put in basically a black site. Like it doesn't officially exist on any records or anything like that. And they're just stuck. There's nothing that they can do. And we get a span of 6 weeks as they're just trapped inside these solitary cells on this random location that doesn't exist. And we get to see a really great perspective of Mary and Castiel. And honestly, I think Castiel was my favorite part just because his story in this episode was so sad. And I love that. I thought it was really good. It sucked to see that because I love all the characters. So it sucked to see him go through such a crappy moment. But it was very cool. Like, I really love the way they did it. And it starts off simple. The guy that actually arrested them, he wants to just kill them both. And then the other guy that's like in control of the site, he wants to get information from them because it's like, well, what if they're working with somebody else? So what we'll do, instead of torture and this and that, we'll just leave them. We'll leave them to suffer, and that's it. That's all there is to it. And I love the way that it played out because we knew something was happening. It was like, all right. At first, it was like, okay, maybe he's, they first showed Sam, it's like maybe he's faking, being passed out or something like that. I thought maybe there was some sort of spell, but they don't, nothing ever happened where they showed them, have like blood or, like the guys never found blood when they searched the rooms or anything like that. And it was very interesting. It's like, all right, something happened here. There's some sort of spell or something that they did. And they reference it a bunch. It's like, we can talk about it later. And when they're on the phone with Cass, after Dean hangs up, Sam's like, you didn't tell him. He's like, no. And I love that. I was like, all right, something happened here that's crazy. And I was just waiting to see what was going to happen. But even, with that sort of mystery going into the end of the episode, there was a lot of good stuff in there. We have the Men of Letters coming in. So we have, Tetch really only makes an appearance at the end. So we have this new guy, I want to say his name is Mick. And he's trying to talk with hunters about how they can work together. It's like, basically, we give you a million different tools, all sorts of things you guys have never had. And all you got to do, you get a phone call, you go where we say go, and you do what we say to do. And that's pretty much it. And the guy insults him. He's like, your hands are soft and stuff. And so he's like, I'm okay. And he leaves. And they really utilize what they have in this episode when Cass ends up calling them, and he and Mary end up teaming up with Tetch and Mick. And I was like, this is actually really cool. And they're like, yeah, it's this black site, like it's Site 94 and stuff. They knew exactly what it was and where it was. It was like, yeah, we get information. We'll try to find the boys. We'll just call someone up and get one. We'll just move a satellite overhead and find them. And it's like, holy crap. Like, it's not just magic stuff that's crazy, that they're in possession of. It's all sorts of favors and information that is just insane. And it's like, wow, this is actually really freaking amazing when you just think about it. And it proved their worth a lot in this episode, and I really love that. That was really good. And of course that leads into the ending where Mick is talking with Mary, and she says, I'm listening, because she saw, unlike the guy from the beginning where it's like, oh, this guy is just telling me, she saw what they could do, and she saw, like, we have a freaking satellite. We already know exactly what location you're talking about. They aren't even from the States, and they knew that information. Like, that's how, well together they are. And I thought it was really, really good. I was like, that shows a lot of what they can do, and we'll see where this goes, because it seems like they're leaning more towards actually working together. But of course, we're also kind of building up to that ultimate teardown, because we have it again in this episode where Sam and Dean, they're fighting against humans, and they were pretty cool. They were great in this episode. It was actually cool after they escape. And of course, you call it First Blood because it's all crazy in there in the woods like Rambo. But I loved how they went against these guys. At first, they were just running from them. Then it's like, all right, we got to fight back. And basically, they set up all these traps, and they set up the house, and they knock all these guys down. But they don't kill anyone, because they don't really do that unless it's just like a really, really bad person. It's very rare when that happens. But they let everybody go. It's just like, hey, don't F with us. They were just really serious, and it was actually very cool. And so when they say that, Touch is like, oh, you had survivors. And he goes in. I'm curious because it seemed like everyone's throat was slit. It makes me wonder what he did in that situation, because he could have shot those people, but instead it was like he used a spell or something crazy, because everyone's throat was slit instead of just something normal. He went through and somehow in a room with, like the president's aide and also the guy that ran the black site, both of those guys were dead in the same room, but both their throats were slit, as if he got behind one person. The other person would have had to have seen that, and he still managed to knock him down or whatever, and get behind him and slit his throat too. So it's very weird. I was like, I feel like there's something extra, to how he killed those guys. But it was just really crazy. And then they go through all this crazy action and stuff, and we have them, take out these guys. And I'm like, that's just going to lead to the teardown once they find out. Especially, they go back to what Tetch did in the first place when he killed that young girl. They're going to figure that stuff out. Like, something's going to happen that they're going to find out, and then he'll be like, well, yeah, I always do that. I've done it since this person. And they're going to snap when they find out that he killed that girl. He might reveal it, honestly, but we don't really know. But that's what's going to tear him down. So they're going to have a great build-up, and it'll seem great and stuff like that, and then it'll just completely fall apart. And like going back to Cass in this episode and how great he was. He actually goes to Crowley to try to get help, and of course Crowley doesn't care. Great reference to Mr. T using his real name, because that was hilarious. Nobody would have seen that coming unless you really know Mr. T. But I thought that was great, and he goes through and he's talking with Mary, and like the scene when he's at the bar is probably the saddest one. Like that, and when she calls him to say like I'm taking care of it, those are the two saddest moments in the whole episode to me, even with the ending sequence. But him, he tries to find these vampires, and he's like, I just couldn't do it. Maybe I asked the wrong people, or I asked the wrong questions, but I never even came close to finding those creatures. And 3 girls died before I left town, and that basically, he says like before I just ran away because I couldn't do it. And Mary tries to say like, hey, why don't we go ahead? And he's like, I just get in your way. And then she calls him and says like, the thing in Missouri, I'm handling it, and he just like he puts his head in his hands like I'm just useless. Like that's how he feels when he's by himself, and it was just really sad to see that. But then we get to the ending, and they do the reveal, and the car breaks down and stuff. And it's like it's time, and they do the ultimate reveal, and Billy shows up, and they're like, we made a deal. Like the only way we can get out of there is if we were dead, and so we made a deal that one of us would have to go, and it was just crazy. Like, I was like, holy crap. And I figured, of course, it would end up being Mary, or something crazy would have to happen. But I figured most likely it'll be Mary that gives herself up. And it seemed to be headed that route. And Cass ends up killing Billy, which I did not expect. I never would have thought that that's how she would end up leaving the show. I just really wasn't expecting it. She's still, basically, she's still a brand new character. Like, as many episodes that she's been in, she hasn't had, like, the biggest roles or anything. But really surprised me that they killed her off in this episode. And Cass has a really great speech, and it's very heartfelt, and he seemed like he was on the edge of tears, just saying like, the world needs as many Winchesters as it can get. And it was just a great speech at the end. And so like ultimately, like I just love this whole episode. I thought it was a really great episode to come back to. I think honestly, once they get out, it just really picks up, because the beginning I thought was still fine, but it was just like, it was kind of just jumping back and forth. Like this is them, eating and stuff like that, and this is Cass and Mary. They were pretty optimistic in the beginning. It's like, we'll figure something out, or something's gonna happen. And then once it kept going, it got more depressing outside of the blacksite, and then on the inside it just got crazier, because it's like, what's going on, and them fighting off these people. So great balance in this episode, and I can't wait to see where they go with this. Like, I don't know if this episode is going to have a continuing effect with Cass's character, but I feel like it has to, because he's seen what he's like and what the world is like without Sam and Dean in it, to be hunters, and to help show him, how to be a hunter, or to just do it when he can't, because he's only there basically, to support. Like, that's how he felt in this episode. And I thought it was just great. I was like, that was really good. What they're leading into with the Men in Letters is good. They show both sides of it, like I said, with Mary deciding, like, alright, this is actually a good idea. And then bringing back the fact that they don't leave survivors, no matter what. We don't leave people behind asking questions or anything like that. So they show both sides of it, for, the good and the bad, and how that's, we know it's going to come to a head. But love this episode. I actually thought it was a very good mid-season premiere. I was kind of curious how it was going to play out because of the way the mid-season finale went. I was like, how's this going to work? Like, how do they escape? How do they do any of this? And I think it all worked out perfectly. I thought it was a very well done episode. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, I want to know what you guys think about them killing off Billy in this episode. I wasn't expecting it at all. I thought it was more likely that they would actually kill off Mary than they would Billy, if I'm being completely honest. I was like, that it surprised me more that Billy died than if Mary would have died. But it sucks to see her go, especially because they don't have that sort of connection to a character like that anymore. They haven't really done that in a while since, Death was the only recurring Reaper, really. And even his position was very unique, like he was Death. So it was like, all right, well, let's have an epic episode. Here comes Death. And Billy was just a Reaper, and she was just coming in, and it seems like her story was just kind of cut short, but at the same time, she was getting exactly what she wanted, and it was supposed to be in this episode, and then Cass destroys all of that. And also, they do make a hint as to some craziness that's supposed to happen because of this. Because if they made a actual blood pact, and as Billy put it, it would destroy things or it would mess things up on a cosmic level. And Cass just set that off. So maybe they'll save that for next season. Maybe that's the big thing that's coming up. But I'm certainly excited for whatever the heck that's supposed to mean. Who knows? Maybe we will actually see Billy come back based on whatever this cosmic stuff is, since she was the one who made the deal with them and she was the one who got cheated. So maybe they'll do that and they will somehow find a way to bring her back as something new, which I think would be really cool, or maybe like a new Super Reaper, I don't know. But it seems like there's something there where, at this point they hinted at it. Maybe they don't have the whole plan, so they could potentially come up with some way to bring her back into the show. But whatever it is, I'm excited for that. As far as cosmic level, I would assume it has to be a full story sort of thing. That's not just a cosmic level, can't be a one episode sort of deal. It has to be a full season. So that's my expectations for it, my theory. But as far as seeing her go, it does really suck. But I would love to know how you guys feel about it, what you think they might do to possibly bring her back, if she will come back because of this cosmic level, wrongdoing by Cass, or if you think she's really gone. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about the episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.